Captain Marcus Sullivan stood in the command center of Meridian Station, staring at the empty screen. The transmission had ended 3 minutes ago, but he could still see the final images burned into his mind. Children running through burning streets. Mothers holding babies as the sky turned white with plasma fire. His daughter's best friend waving goodbye from the colony transport 2 years ago. All gone now. Lieutenant Commander Patricia Wells sat at her communications desk, her hands shaking as she typed the casualty report. 50,000 names. 50,000 people who woke up yesterday thinking about their jobs, their families, their weekend plans. Now they were numbers on a screen. "Captain," she said, her voice barely above a whisper, "the Zelkari ambassador is requesting a channel." Marcus nodded. He had been expecting this. The Zelkari never destroyed anything without making a speech about it afterward. They loved their speeches almost as much as they loved their plasma cannons. "This he." Main screen flickered to life. Ambassador Kethvar appeared, his gray skin gleaming under the lights of his ship. His 4 eyes blinked in sequence, the way Zelkari did when they were pleased with themselves. Marcus had learned to hate that expression over the past year of failed peace talks. "Greetings, humans of Earth," Kethvar said, his translator making his voice sound like grinding metal. "I trust you have received our demonstration of Zelkari resolve. The colony you called Haven Prime has been cleansed. This action was necessary to show the consequences of refusing our generous offer of protection." Marcus clenched his fists. Protection. They called it protection when they demanded half of Earth's resources and the right to place military bases on human worlds. They called it protection when they threatened to turn Earth into glass if humans refused. "The Confederacy offers Earth one final opportunity," Kethvar continued. "You have 30 of your standard days to accept tributary status. Submit to Zelkari authority, and your homeworld will be spared. Continue this foolish resistance and you will share Haven Prime's fate." The transmission ended. The bridge fell silent, except for the hum of life support systems and the soft beeping of computers. Marcus looked around at his crew. These were good people. Navy officers who had signed up to explore the stars and defend Earth from pirates and smugglers. None of them had expected to face an enemy that could destroy entire worlds. "Sir," said Lieutenant Kevin Barnes from the tactical station, "long-range sensors are picking up movement in the Zelkari fleet. They're repositioning for a possible advance toward Earth." Marcus nodded. "Send word to Admiral Kane. Tell him we need an emergency council meeting within the hour." 2 hours later, Marcus sat in the briefing room aboard the battleship Constitution, Earth's largest warship. Around the table sat the leaders of humanity's military forces. Admiral Richard Kane, a man who had spent 40 years in space, looked older than his 70 years. General Lucy Carter commanded Earth's ground forces, though they all knew ground. Forces would be useless if the Zelkari decided to bombard Earth from orbit. "Let's not pretend this is anything other than what it is," Admiral Kane said. "We're outgunned, outmanned, and out of time. The Zelkari have 300 warships in their battle fleet. We have 47 ships that can fight in space, and most of those are patrol vessels." "What about the other species in the galaxy?" asked General Carter. "Surely someone will help us." Commander Julia Peterson, Earth's intelligence chief, shook her head. "The Thornax Republic has already announced they're staying neutral. The Vegan Trade Alliance is pretending this isn't happening. The Centauri Commonwealth sent a message saying they're deeply concerned, but offered no military support. So, we're alone," Marcus said. "We've always been alone," Admiral Kane replied. "The question is what we do about it." The room fell quiet. Everyone knew the math. Earth's small fleet couldn't stop the Zelkari invasion force. The planet's orbital defenses might delay them for a few hours, but the outcome was certain. Earth would fall, and humanity would either accept slavery or face extinction. "There is another option," said Dr. Andrew Morrison, who had been quiet throughout the meeting. He was a civilian, head of Earth's Quantum Research Division, but Admiral Kane had insisted he attend. "We could make them pay a price they're not expecting." "What do you mean?" Kane asked. Morrison leaned forward. "The Zelkari expect us to fight like every other species they've conquered. Traditional fleet engagements, ship against ship. But what if we don't fight their way? Go on, Marcus said. We have assets they don't know about. Mining ships, cargo vessels, research platforms. Civilian craft that could be modified. The Zelkari are coming here expecting to face our navy. They're not expecting to face our entire civilization. General Carter frowned. You're talking about arming civilian ships? That's suicide. Mining barges against Zelkari battlecruisers? Not directly, Morrison said. But there are other ways to fight. We have advantages they don't expect. We know this system better than they do. We have infrastructure they can't see from their long-range sensors, and we have something they lost a long time ago. What's that? Admiral Kane asked. Morrison was quiet for a moment. When he spoke, his voice was hard. We have something worth dying for. The meeting continued for another hour, but Marcus could see the decision forming in Admiral Kane's eyes. It was a desperate plan, maybe even a foolish one. But it was better than surrender, and it was certainly better than doing nothing while Earth burned like Haven Prime. As the officers filed out of the briefing room, Marcus stayed behind with Admiral Kane. You know this is probably suicide, Kane said. Yes, sir. But you're still willing to try? Marcus thought about the images from Haven Prime. The children, the families, the friends he would never see again. He thought about Earth, blue and beautiful, hanging in space like a jewel. He thought about his own daughter, safe in a school on Luna, trusting that her father would protect her world. They think we'll grieve quietly, he said. They think we'll accept their terms because we're afraid to die. Admiral Kane smiled, and for the first time in days he looked like the warrior who had spent his life defending humanity. Then let's show them how wrong they are. Commander Victoria Hayes floated through the cargo bay of the mining vessel Iron Mountain, watching workers install weapon systems where grain hoppers used to be. The ship smelled like metal shavings and welding smoke. Captain Helen Rodriguez, the Iron Mountain's owner, guided her through the modifications. We pulled out all the storage containers, Helen explained, pointing to empty spaces along the hull. Your people installed missile launchers there. Each one can fire 20 times before reloading. Victoria nodded. Helen's ship was one of 300 civilian vessels being converted for combat. Mining ships, cargo haulers, passenger liners, research vessels. If it could fly in space, Earth's military was turning it into a weapon. What about the mining charges? Victoria asked. Helen grinned. Lieutenant Colonel Clark's people took every explosive we had. Said they were making something special with them. In the asteroid belt, Lieutenant Colonel Benjamin Clark floated outside Mining Platform 7, watching his team work on the biggest bomb humans had ever built. They had taken mining charges from 50 different asteroids and connected them together. The result was a weapon that could crack a moon in half. How many more can we make? Asked Sergeant Tony Williams, who had been a demolition expert before the war started. Depends how much time we have, Clark replied. The miners are bringing us everything they can find. Charges, fusion cores, industrial explosives. We might have enough for 20 planet crackers if we're lucky. Back on Earth, Dr. Andrew Morrison worked in his laboratory, surrounded by computer screens and prototype weapons. He had not slept in 3 days. His team was taking experimental technology that was meant for peaceful research and turning it into instruments of war. The quantum disruptors are ready for field testing, said Dr. Lisa Park, his assistant. We can mount them on anything bigger than a fighter craft. Morrison looked at the weapon designs on his screen. The quantum disruptors could tear holes in space itself. They were dangerous to use and dangerous to be near, but they would go through Zelkari shields like they were made of paper. What about the kinetic penetrators, he asked. Captain Thompson tested them yesterday. His freighter put 3 rounds through a decommissioned battleship. The rounds went in one side and came out the other, then kept going for another 1,000 kilometers. On Luna, Earth's moon, Captain Derek Thompson was finishing his own preparations. His grain transport ship Harvest Moon now carried experimental weapons instead of food. His crew of 5 farmers had become a weapons team overnight. I never thought I'd be shooting at aliens, said his engineer Bob Martinez, who used to fix grain elevators. But after what they did to Haven Prime, I'm ready to try. Derek nodded. His ship was not fast or heavily armored, but it could carry more firepower than most military vessels. The trade-off was simple. They would get one good shot at the enemy before the enemy shot back. In the outer system, Captain Nicholas Warren monitored long-range sensors from Deep Space Station Prometheus. His job was to watch for the Zelkari fleet and give Earth as much warning as possible. The station was small and hidden, built into an asteroid where enemy sensors could not easily find it. Movement in Sector 7, reported his sensor operator, Lieutenant Amy Foster. Large ships dropping out of hyperspace, energy signatures match Zelkari battlecruisers. Nicholas felt his heart race. How many? I count 50 ships in the first wave. More are arriving every few minutes. Nicholas opened a communication channel to Earth. Command, this is Prometheus Station. The Zelkari fleet has arrived. Estimate, 300 ships total. They're forming up for attack formation. The response came back immediately. Prometheus, this is Admiral Kane. Continue monitoring and report any changes. All other stations, begin final preparations. Across the solar system, humans made their last preparations for war. Captain Jennifer Walsh led a squadron of atmospheric fighters that had been fitted with rocket boosters. The fighters were not designed for space combat, but they were fast and hard to hit. Remember, she told her pilots over the radio, we only get one pass at them. Make it count. Commander Frank Miller prepared his own squadron of converted civilian craft. His pilots were cargo haulers, taxi drivers, and weekend flyers. None of them had military training, but all of them remembered the footage from Haven Prime. They think we're going to line up like good little soldiers and let them shoot us, Frank told his people. They're wrong. We're going to hit them from every direction at once. On the battleship Constitution, Admiral Kane watched the final. Reports come in. Every human ship in the system was ready for combat. Every weapon was loaded. Every crew member knew their job. Sir, said his communications officer, we're receiving a message from the Zelkari fleet. They want to talk. Kane nodded. Put them through. Commander Vexitar appeared on the main screen. He was the leader of the Zelkari invasion fleet, a warrior who had conquered 12 worlds for the Confederacy. His 4 eyes showed the confidence of someone who had never lost a battle. Humans of Earth, Vexitar said, you have had time to consider our generous offer. Have you come to your senses? We have an answer for you, Kane replied. Excellent. Will you surrender your world peacefully, or must we take it by force? Kane was quiet for a moment. Around him, his bridge crew waited. Across the system, thousands of human ships waited for his word. Commander Vexitar, Kane said finally, you destroyed our colony, you killed our people, you threatened our world. Did you really think we would just give up? Vexitar's eyes blinked in sequence, showing his amusement. You have 47 warships. We have 300. Your surrender is inevitable. You're right, Kane said. We do have 47 warships, but you made one mistake in your intelligence. What mistake? Vexitar asked. Kane smiled. You only counted our warships. You didn't count our people. The transmission ended. Across the solar system, human ships began moving toward their positions. The Zelkari had come expecting to fight Earth's navy. Instead, they were about to fight Earth's entire civilization. In the command center of his flagship, Vexitar watched his sensors as they detected the approaching human vessels. His tactical officer reported the numbers with growing confusion. Sir, I'm reading over 2,000 human craft moving toward our position. Most of them are not military vessels. Vexitar studied the display. Mining ships, cargo haulers, passenger transports. The humans were sending everything they had. They're desperate, he said. This will be easier than I thought. Civilian ships against our battle fleet, it will be a massacre. But as the human ships continued to approach, something felt wrong. They were not moving like desperate civilians. They were moving like they had a plan. For the first time in his military career, Commander Vexitar began to wonder if he had underestimated his enemy. Commander Vexitar watched his sensors as the Zelkari fleet moved toward Earth. 300 warships in perfect formation. The humans had 30 hours to change their minds and surrender. After that, Earth would burn like Haven Prime. "Sir," said his tactical officer, "human vessels are moving to intercept us. Reading 2,300 craft." Vextar looked at the display with amusement. The humans were bringing everything they had. Cargo ships, miners, even passenger liners. It would be pathetic if it was not so desperate. "They're trying to overwhelm us with numbers," he said. "Primitive thinking. Quality defeats quantity every time. All ships, prepare to engage. This will be over quickly." But as the fleets closed distance, something strange happened. The human ships did not form a battle line like normal military forces. Instead, they spread out in all directions, surrounding the Zelkari fleet in a massive sphere. "Sir," the tactical officer said, "they're not attacking, they're just sitting there." Vextar frowned. "What are they waiting for?" His answer came from Captain Derek Thompson aboard the converted freighter Harvest Moon. Derek's ship was hidden behind a small asteroid along with 50 other vessels. They had been waiting for 2 days. Engines cold, systems quiet. "All ships," Derek said into his radio. "Enemy fleet is in position. Begin attack pattern Alpha." Across the solar system, human ships that had been drifting like space debris suddenly came alive. Their engines ignited, their weapons powered up. What the Zelkari thought was empty space exploded with hostile contacts. "Contact!" screamed the Zelkari tactical officer. "Massive human force emerging from the asteroid field. They were hiding." Before Vextar could respond, Derek's ship fired its first salvo. 6 kinetic penetrators streaked across space at incredible speed. The rounds punched through a Zelkari cruiser's shields and armor like they were made of paper. The enemy ship exploded in a ball of plasma. "First blood to us," Derek said grimly. "All ships, pick your targets and fire." The battle erupted across millions of cubic kilometers of space. Captain Helen Rodriguez brought her mining ship Iron Mountain alongside a Zelkari destroyer. Her weapons were mining lasers that had been boosted beyond safe limits. "This is for Haven Prime," she said, and fired. The industrial lasers cut through the destroyer's hull like a hot knife through butter. The enemy ship vented atmosphere and debris as it died. Captain Jennifer Walsh led her squadron of converted atmospheric fighters in a suicide run against a Zelkari battleship. The fighters were fast but fragile. They would not survive long in a real fight. "Remember," she told her pilots, "we only need to distract them for 30 seconds. Make it count." The fighters dove toward the battleship, dodging plasma fire and missile bursts. 3 of them exploded before reaching their target. Jennifer's fighter took a hit that destroyed her left wing, but she kept flying. "Target the engine ports," she called out. "Maximum power on all weapons." The surviving fighters strafed the battleship's engines with everything they had. The damage was not enough to destroy the ship, but it was enough to slow it down and draw its attention away from the real threat. Commander Frank Miller brought his squadron of converted cargo haulers in from above the battle. His ships carried the biggest weapons Dr. Morrison had been able to build. Each vessel mounted a single quantum disruptor that could tear holes in space itself. "All ships," Frank said. "Target the flagship. Synchronized fire on my mark." 20 quantum disruptors fired at once. The beams met at a single point in space where Commander Vextar's flagship was located. Reality twisted and bent around the impact point. The flagship's shields flickered and failed. "Impossible," Vextar said. "No species has quantum weapons except the ancients." His ship shook as human weapons tore through its hull. Warning lights flashed across his bridge. His crew reported damage to weapons, engines, and life support, but the humans were not finished. Captain Nicholas Warren had moved his hidden monitoring station closer to the battle. The station was small and looked harmless, but it carried Lieutenant Colonel Clark's special surprise. "All human ships," Nicholas broadcast, "clear the center of the formation, planet cracker deployment in 60 seconds. The human ships scattered, like birds fleeing a predator. In the center of the Zelkari formation, a single large object appeared. It looked like a cargo container, but it was actually 50 mining charges connected together and wrapped around a fusion reactor. "What is that?" Vexitar demanded. His sensors operator checked his instruments twice before answering. Sir, it appears to be some kind of improvised explosive device. Energy output suggests... Sir, this cannot be correct. What? The device is generating power equivalent to a stellar event. If it detonates, it will destroy everything within 5,000 kilometers. Vexitar realized the trap too late. The humans had not been trying to win a traditional battle. They had been herding his fleet into position for one massive attack. All ships, emergency scatter pattern, he ordered. Get away from that device. But the Zelkari ships were too close, together, and the device was already armed. Lieutenant Colonel Clark had built his planet cracker to detonate on impact, and Captain Derek Thompson's ship was carrying it straight toward the largest group of enemy vessels. This is for every person who died on Haven Prime, Derek said. He had ejected his crew in escape pods minutes earlier. Now he was alone on his ship, guiding it toward the heart of the enemy fleet. The collision happened in slow motion. Derek's freighter, moving at maximum speed, struck the Zelkari formation carrying 50 tons of high explosives connected to a fusion reactor. The detonation created a miniature star that lasted for 3 seconds. When the light faded, 37 Zelkari ships had been vaporized. Another 60 were damaged beyond repair. The pride of the Zelkari fleet had been gutted by a converted grain transport. Retreat, Vexitar ordered. All ships retreat to minimum safe distance. But the humans followed them. Captain Lisa Zhang led a swarm of mining drones that had been fitted with weapons. The drones were small and fast, almost impossible to hit with capital ship weapons. Swarm attack pattern, Lisa called out. Target their engines and weapons. Don't let them escape. The drones swarmed over the retreating Zelkari ships like angry insects. Their small weapons could not destroy capital ships, but they could disable them. One by one, Zelkari vessels found themselves unable to fight or flee. Commander Victoria Hayes coordinated the final phase of the attack. Marine shuttles and boarding pods launched from converted passenger ships. The humans were not content to destroy the enemy fleet, they wanted to capture it. Boarding teams, Victoria said. You know your targets. Disable their ships and take prisoners. We need intelligence about their home systems. Colonel Sandra Jackson led the first boarding team onto a crippled Zelkari cruiser. Her Marines wore mining suits that had been armored and weaponized. They moved through the enemy ship like they owned it. Resistance is light, Sandra reported. The crew is demoralized. Most of them are surrendering without a fight. Within 6 hours, the battle was over. The mighty Zelkari invasion fleet had been destroyed or captured by a collection of miners, farmers, and cargo pilots. Commander Vexitar found himself a prisoner aboard a converted passenger liner that smelled like recycled air and human determination. How? He asked Admiral Kane during his interrogation. How did you do this? Kane looked at the alien commander with something that might have been pity. You made the same mistake everyone makes about humans, Kane said. You thought our military was just our warships. You thought our civilization was separate from our ability to fight. You were wrong. Vexitar said nothing. When you destroyed Haven Prime, Kane continued, you did not just attack our military. You attacked our families, our friends, our future. You turned every human in this system into a soldier. Kane stood up to leave. The sky around Earth turned human today, Commander. And now the galaxy is going to learn what that means. Admiral Richard Kane stood on the bridge of his flagship Phoenix, watching the tactical display show human ships moving deeper into Zelkari space. 3 weeks had passed since the battle at Earth. The Zelkari fleet was destroyed, but the war was far from over. Sir, said Captain Gregory Adams, now commanding the advance fleet, we've reached the outer edge of Zelkari territory. Their defense stations are powering up weapons. Kane nodded. Begin Operation Retribution. Show them what happens when you attack human colonies. The first target was Military Station Kexnor, a fortress that guarded the approach to Zelkari core worlds. The station had heavy shields and enough firepower to destroy a small fleet. Under normal circumstances, it would take dozens of warships to crack its defenses. But Captain Nathan Foster had spent the past 3 weeks converting captured Zelkari ships into human vessels. His engineering teams had ripped out alien systems and installed human weapons. The result was a fleet that looked Zelkari but fought like humans. "Unknown vessels," came the transmission from the station. "Identify yourselves. You are entering restricted space." Foster smiled. His captured cruiser looked exactly like every other Zelkari ship. The station commander had no way to know it was now crewed by humans and loaded with quantum disruptors. "This is Cruiser Dexmal requesting permission to dock," Foster replied, using the captured ship's original name. "We have wounded from the Earth campaign. Permission granted. Proceed to docking bay 7. Foster brought his ship close to the station, well inside its defensive perimeter. At the last moment, he opened fire with every weapon he had. The quantum disruptors tore through the station's hull like paper. Secondary explosions ripped through its interior. "Station destroyed," Foster reported. "Moving to Target 2. Across Zelkari space, similar attacks were happening. Commander Julie Martinez had organized human intelligence teams to identify every military installation in the enemy empire. Mining stations, supply depots, shipyards, communications centers. Everything that supported the Zelkari war machine became a target. Dr. Andrew Morrison had moved his laboratory to a captured Zelkari science vessel. His team was working around the clock to develop new weapons. The quantum disruptors had been just the beginning. "The radiation bombs are ready for deployment," Dr. Lisa Park reported. "Each one can make a planet uninhabitable for 1,000 years. Morrison looked at the weapons with mixed feelings. They were terrible devices capable of destroying entire worlds. But the Zelkari had shown no mercy to Haven Prime. Humanity would return the favor. "Load them onto the strike ships," he said. "Target their fortress worlds first." Captain Alex Turner led the attack on the Zelkari fortress world of Korvash. The planet was home to 10 million aliens and protected by orbital defense platforms. It was also the headquarters of the Zelkari military command. "All ships," Turner said to his fleet, "remember Haven Prime. These people ordered the death of our colonists. Show them the same mercy they showed our families." The attack began with conventional weapons. Human ships destroyed the orbital platforms and cleared the space around the planet. Then came Dr. Morrison's radiation bombs. The weapons detonated in the planet's upper atmosphere, spreading deadly particles across the surface. Within hours, Korvash was a dead world. The radiation would last for centuries, making the planet a tomb for its former inhabitants. News of the attack spread quickly through Zelkari space. Commander Vexistar, still a prisoner aboard the human fleet, watched the reports with growing horror. "You're monsters," he said to Admiral Kane. "You killed 10 million civilians." Kane looked at him without emotion. Haven Prime had 50,000 civilians. They were farmers, teachers, children playing in the streets. Your people turned them into glass and called it a demonstration. "That was different," Vextar protested. "That was war." "So is this," Kane replied. "The difference is that we're better at it than you are." The psychological effect on the Zelkari Empire was immediate. Species that had been allied with the Zelkari for centuries began to reconsider their positions. The Thornax Republic quietly withdrew from joint military exercises. The Vegan Trade Alliance announced they were suspending all contracts with Zelkari worlds. Ambassador Linda Wright, now operating from a mobile command ship, fielded communications from dozens of alien species. Everyone wanted to talk to the humans, who had defeated the mighty Zelkari Empire. "The Centauri Commonwealth is requesting a non-aggression pact," she reported to Kane. "So are the Altair Federation, the Rigel colonies, and the Beta Cygni Alliance." "What about the Thornax?" Kane asked. "They're offering to share intelligence about Zelkari military installations in exchange for protection from human attacks." Kane considered this. The Thornax had been Zelkari allies for 200 years. If they were switching sides, it meant the entire galactic power structure was collapsing. "Accept their offer," he said, "but make it clear that we remember who supported the Zelkari when they destroyed our colony." The final phase of Operation Retribution began when Captain Derek Anderson led a massive human fleet toward the Zelkari homeworld itself. Anderson was Derek Thompson's younger brother. Derek had died destroying the Zelkari invasion fleet at Earth. Now his brother was coming to finish the job. The Zelkari homeworld was protected by the most powerful defenses in their empire. Hundreds of orbital platforms, thousands of fighter craft, and a fleet of their newest battleships. It should have been impregnable, but humanity brought weapons the Zelkari had never seen before. Captain Lisa Chang coordinated a swarm of 10,000 mining drones, each one fitted with a small nuclear warhead. The drones were too small and numerous for the defense systems to stop. Colonel Sandra Jackson commanded boarding teams using captured Zelkari transport ships. Her Marines had spent weeks studying alien ship designs and tactical procedures. They knew how to fight in Zelkari environments better than the Zelkari themselves. Dr. Morrison deployed his newest creation, a quantum weapon that could destabilize a planet's core. It was a doomsday device, capable of cracking a world like an egg. Morrison hoped he would not have to use it. The battle for the Zelkari homeworld lasted 3 days. Human ships swarmed through the defense grid like angry hornets. Every time the aliens thought they had stopped one attack, 2 more appeared from unexpected directions. On the 3rd day, the Zelkari government sent a message to the human fleet. "We surrender," came the transmission. "Please, no more killing. We will accept any terms you offer." Admiral Kane received the message aboard his flagship. Around him, his staff waited for orders. They could destroy the planet with a single command. They could wipe out the species that had murdered Haven Prime. But Kane thought about what that would make humanity. Were they liberators or conquerors? Were they heroes or monsters? "All ships," he said finally. "Cease fire. Prepare to receive the Zelkari surrender." Captain Derek Anderson's voice came back immediately. "Sir, are you sure? After what they did to our people?" Kane was quiet for a moment. He thought about Haven Prime, about the 50,000 people who would never go home. He thought about his own daughter, safe on Luna, who would grow up in a galaxy where humanity was feared and respected. "They'll live," Kane said. "But they'll live knowing that we could have killed them all and chose not to. That's a lesson the entire galaxy needs to learn." The Zelkari Empire formally surrendered on the 4th day after the battle. The species that had dominated the galaxy for 3 centuries agreed to human terms: war reparations, military restrictions, and the establishment of human monitoring stations throughout their territory. Commander Vextar signed the surrender documents with his own hand. As he did, he looked up at Admiral Kane. "How long will you occupy our worlds?" he asked. Kane smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "Until we're satisfied that you understand the price of attacking human colonies. That might take a very long time." The galaxy watched in amazement as humanity imposed its will on the former hegemon. In 3 months, the humans had gone from a minor species facing extinction to the dominant military power in known space, and everyone understood the lesson: never mistake human grief for human weakness. 6 months after the fall of the Zelkari Empire, Admiral Marcus Sullivan walked through the corridors of Haven Station, humanity's first permanent military base outside Earth's solar system. The station was built from the wreckage of a Zelkari fortress, a symbol of how completely the galaxy had changed. Through the observation deck windows, Marcus could see human ships patrolling the space lanes that once belonged to the enemy. Converted mining vessels worked alongside military cruisers. The distinction between human civilians and soldiers had blurred beyond recognition. "Sir," said Commander Victoria Hayes, approaching with a datapad, "we've received formal diplomatic requests from 67 different species this week. Everyone wants trade agreements and non-aggression pacts." Marcus nodded. Fear was a powerful motivator. The galaxy had watched humanity destroy the Zelkari Empire in 3 months, and every species was rushing to avoid the same fate. "What about the Thornax Republic?" he asked. "They're offering to share all their military intelligence about former Zelkari allies. They also want to purchase human quantum weapons for their own defense." Marcus smiled grimly. The Thornax had been Zelkari supporters right up until the moment human ships appeared in their space. Now they were eager to prove their friendship with humanity's new order. On Earth, Ambassador Linda Wright sat in the rebuilt Galactic Council chambers, addressing representatives from across known space. The council had been reformed after the Zelkari collapse, with humanity holding a permanent seat and veto power over all major decisions. The question before us today, Linda said, is how to prevent future acts of genocide like the destruction of Haven Prime. Humanity proposes the establishment of protected status for all colonial settlements, regardless of species. The alien delegates shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Many of them had destroyed colonies of weaker species in the past. The idea of legal protection for settlers was revolutionary. "What enforcement mechanism do you propose?" asked the Centauri representative, a pale humanoid with large black eyes. Linda smiled. "The same enforcement mechanism that ended the Zelkari Empire. Any species that attacks civilian colonies will face the full military response of the human alliance." The chamber fell silent. Everyone understood what that meant. Humanity had not just defeated the Zelkari. They had proven that entire civilizations could be brought to their knees if they threatened human interests. In the Outer Rim territories, Captain Derek Anderson commanded a patrol fleet of 50 ships. His job was to show the human flag in regions that had never seen Earth vessels before. The psychological effect was immediate wherever he went. "Captain," said his communications officer, "we're receiving a distress call from the mining colony on Kepler 7. Pirates are attacking their ore transports." Anderson checked his tactical display. Kepler 7 was not a human colony, but it was under the protection of the new galactic order. The pirates would learn what that meant. "All ships," he said. "Set course for Kepler 7. Maximum speed." The pirate fleet numbered 20 ships, mostly converted cargo vessels with makeshift weapons. They had been raiding the outer colonies, for years taking advantage of the chaos following the Zelkari collapse. But when Anderson's fleet arrived, the pirates found themselves facing something they had never encountered: human military doctrine applied with ruthless efficiency. "Unknown vessels," came the pirate transmission. "This is Captain Rex Vorthon of the Free Traders Alliance. You are interfering with legitimate salvage operations." Anderson opened a response channel. "Captain Vorthon, this is the Human Patrol, Ship Liberty. You have 30 seconds to release your prisoners and surrender your vessels." "Or what?" Vorthon replied. "You're outnumbered 4-1, or we'll show you what happened to the last people who threatened civilians under human protection." Anderson's ships opened fire without further warning. The quantum disruptors and kinetic penetrators that had destroyed the Zelkari fleet made short work of the pirate vessels. Within minutes, the entire raider force was either destroyed or surrendering. Back on Earth, Dr. Andrew Morrison worked in his expanded laboratory complex, now funded by tribute payments from across the galaxy. His research had moved beyond weapons, into technologies that could reshape civilization itself. "The terraforming accelerators are ready for field testing," reported Dr. Lisa Park. "We can turn a dead world into a garden planet in 50 years instead of 500. Morrison nodded. Humanity was not just becoming the galaxy's military power. They were becoming its technological leader as well. Species that had once looked down on human science now competed for access to human innovations. "What about the medical research?" he asked. "We've isolated the genetic factors that make humans so adaptable in combat situations. Some of the allied species want us to help them develop similar traits in their own populations." Morrison frowned. The idea of creating super soldiers for other species made him uncomfortable. Humanity's military success came from more than just genetics. It came from their willingness to sacrifice everything for their people. Colonel Sandra Jackson established humanity's military academy on Mars, training officers from dozens of different species in human tactical doctrine. The students came from across the galaxy, eager to learn the secrets of human warfare. "The key to human military success," she told her class of alien cadets, "is not superior technology or numbers. It's the understanding that war is not just fought by soldiers. It's fought by entire civilizations." A Rigelian student raised his hand. "But how do you convince civilians to participate in military operations? Most species keep their military and civilian populations separate." Sandra thought about Captain Derek Thompson, who had died ramming his grain transport into the Zelkari fleet. She thought about Helen Rodriguez, who had converted her mining ship into a weapon. She thought about the thousands of ordinary humans who had become warriors when their people were threatened. "You don't convince them," she said. "When their families are threatened, they convince themselves." Commander Nicholas Warren had been promoted to head of Human Intelligence Services, coordinating spy networks across the galaxy. His job was to make sure humanity never faced another surprise attack like the one that destroyed Haven Prime. "The Zelkari resistance movement is gaining strength," he reported to Admiral Kane during their weekly briefing. "They're trying to organize a rebellion against our occupation forces." Kane considered this. The Zelkari surrender had been complete, but not all of their people accepted the new order. Some still dreamed of returning to their former glory. "What's their capability?" Kane asked. "Limited. Most of their military leadership is dead or in prison. They have popular support in some regions, but no real ability to threaten human forces." "Let them organize," Kane said after a moment. "When they're ready to try something, we'll be ready to remind them why they surrendered in the first place." On Luna, Kane's daughter Catherine attended the new Galactic University, studying alongside students from 50 different worlds. The PAO University was built where a military academy had once stood, a symbol of humanity's transition from defenders to leaders. "What's it like having the famous Admiral Kane as your father?" asked her Centauri roommate. Catherine looked out the window, at Earth, blue and beautiful in the distance. She thought about Haven Prime, the colony that had been destroyed before she was born. She thought about the sacrifices that had built the new galactic order. "It's like being the daughter of everyone who died at Haven Prime," she said quietly. "He carries their memory with him everywhere he goes." The first anniversary of Haven Prime's destruction was marked by ceremonies across human space. Admiral Kane stood at the memorial built on the site where the colony had once thrived. The planet had been terraformed again, turned into a garden world as a monument to the dead. "They thought we would grieve quietly," Kane said to the assembled crowd. "They thought losing 50,000 people would break our spirit. They were wrong." He looked up at the sky, where human ships maintained their eternal patrol. "We did grieve, but our grief became our strength. Our sorrow became their doom, and our loss became the foundation of a new galaxy where no one will ever again mistake human compassion for human weakness." In the years that followed, the new galactic order would face many challenges. Some species would test humanity's resolve, others would seek to exploit the stability humanity had created, but they would all learn the same lesson that the Zelkari had learned too late. Humans do not just fight with their armies, they fight with their entire civilization. And when you threaten what they love, they will move heaven and earth to protect it. The sky around Earth remained filled with human vessels, no longer as desperate defenders, but as guardians of a new age. And across the galaxy, when alien children looked up at their own skies, they learned the story of Haven Prime and the species that turned their grief into the foundation of galactic peace. The stars themselves had learned to respect the sound of human voices.